Okay, so now let's look at the EU crash course. We looked at the EU a couple of weeks ago together, but we all probably need some refreshing of our memories in order to fully understand the article we're about to read. So, last year, 28 countries in Europe all worked together economically. They used the same money. They negotiated for the stuff they needed from other countries together. They even shared the military sometimes. And a citizen of one of the 28 countries could sell goods and services in any of the other 27, or even move there to work and live without any problem. And that's a huge deal, because in most of the world, if you want to move somewhere to live or work, you have to get special permission. If you want to sell things from your country to another country, you have to get special permission, and there are often special taxes that go with that. But these 28 countries said, we're going to work together and we're not going to require special permissions because we're all going to work to the same standard. In January of this year, the United Kingdom, England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland left the European Union. The people voted for that narrowly in 2016, so it was like a 49%, 51% vote, based on a campaign complaining about taxes being paid from the United Kingdom to the European Union. People were saying that they could do so much more with that money in their own country. Specifically, they talked about healthcare in their own country. They could use that money to give better healthcare to their people. So, in 2020, the coronavirus hit Europe, so that's a healthcare issue. Did the UK make a good choice back in 2016 and then follow through in 2020? Well, let's look. Right now, or last week, Europe has, experienced COVID just like the rest of the countries in the world. And if we look, this island right here, that is England, Scotland, and Wales, and then this little tiny part of the next island next to it is Northern Ireland. That's the United Kingdom. They left this rest of Europe because they wanted to do things their own way. Well, they're experiencing COVID just as much as any other really tough hit countries like France and Spain and Italy. So it didn't protect them from catching the virus that the rest of the world caught. We will investigate whether it helped them in any other ways going forward, but first let's figure out why it was that they decided to leave. So there are multiple theories about why the UK decided to leave Europe, this other place. So the first theory that I'm going to talk about is national pride. So the people of the UK will say, some of them, that they didn't want their rules to be made in a different country over here in Brussels, because they could make their own rules and they didn't like other countries telling them what to do. Now, this is part of the agreement. There's a place called The Hague in Brussels where senators from each of these European nations will go together and make decisions. So it works very much like our Congress. But the people of the UK said, nope, they didn't want that. They wanted to do their own decision making. That's one theory. The second theory is economic issues. People in the UK who voted for Brexit tended to be much older and quite a bit poorer than the people in the UK who voted to remain, generally speaking. So the young people wanted very much to have freedom to roam around Europe and find jobs and go live somewhere else if they wanted to, because it opened up opportunity for them. The older people did not feel the necessity to do that. So age is part of it as well, but we're going to lump age in with economic issues. And then the third one is people having issues with multiculturalism. So in 2010 to 2015, lots and lots of refugees, people who were running away from their own country because of war or famine or something bad happening, some kind of persecution, came what they call flooding into Europe. Lots and lots of people. All of these brown arrows are border crossings. Okay, so people were coming from Africa and from the Middle East, quite a lot of people, into Europe. Because that rule that we talked about that said anybody who lived in any of these countries could go anywhere, people who came and were granted permission, special permission to live in Italy, or special permission to live in Hungary or Romania, could also go and live in Sweden, go and live in France, go and live in the UK. Lots of these people, they're coming from the Middle East, they're coming from Eastern Africa, were Sunni Muslim. Now we know from looking back at our religion chart that Europe is Protestant up here, Catholic over here, and then Eastern Orthodox. There's a tiny little smidge of Sunni Muslim over here, but mostly very, very Christian. And a lot of people struggled to adapt to having neighbors with different religion from them. So that's the third theory.